running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
I don't know that this thing is even on. We will see if this works. I'm doing an experiment here through the Spreaker program, which is a podcasting program. It's Erick Erickson here from theresurgent.com. So I have a pulmonary embolism, which is why I have not been on radio the last 2 days. And the pulmonary embolism isn't the problem. It's that my lungs have decided, and oddly enough, the doctors think it was the pressure change from the hurricane, that my lungs decided that they were being invaded, so they swelled up and gave me asthma plus bronchitis. So I'm on all sorts of medicines, and I was going to be on radio this afternoon, but my wife decided I needed to sleep last night and told me, here, take this. I took this pill. Next thing I know, it's 1:30 in the afternoon, and she's not only got me out of teaching Sunday school on Sunday, she got me out of doing radio today as well. So this Spreaker program apparently allows me to do a live podcast where I can interact with people, and then it'll push it out as well to iTunes, Google Play, and to SoundCloud, where we normally keep the show. And I just figured I'd get in here for just a minute and try it, explain why I'm not on air right now, but also because I wanted to talk real quick about what the president is doing or not doing. It appears the president is cutting a deal with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, in which they are going to cut a deal on immigration, and Chuck Schumer is going to get essentially, he and Nancy Pelosi, DACA kids to stay in the country indefinitely, and they're going to fund some border security, but there will be no wall. The president, despite all of his promises for a wall, there's not going to be a wall now, according to the president. They're basically going to make upgrades to existing infrastructure. They're going to do the Rick Perry plan, where you update existing infrastructure and then you use weather balloons, hot air balloons, whatever balloons, electronic sensors, laser beams, and whatnot. And Chuck Schumer, listen to this.
Sorry, just got here. Anything new? No.
This is, let me explain what you're hearing now. This is Chuck Schumer, who is on the floor of the Senate. The microphones are live, and he's talking about his meeting with the president with someone.
He likes us. He likes me anyway. Look, what we said was exactly accurate. Here's what I told him. I said, Mr. President, you're much better off if you can sometimes step right and sometimes step left. If you have to step just in one direction, you're boxed.
So he likes us. Well, he likes me, Chuck Schumer says, and he says, I told him, Mr. President, sometimes step right, sometimes step left. If you only step in one direction, you're boxed. That's what he said. Well, Steve King, the congressman from Iowa, he's having none of this. He was on CNN earlier today with Allison Camerata. Listen to this.
Here's what the president says about that wall in a tweet this morning, Congressman. The wall, which is already under construction in the form of new renovation of old and existing fences and walls, will continue to be built. Was that your understanding of what a wall means?
Well, not at all. I mean, this sounds like, I had an old jalopy and I was going to buy you a new car, but now I'm going to overhaul the jalopy. No, it was a wall. It was a wall all the way. And people are trying to redefine that term wall and say it's virtual wall, it's vibration sensors, it's drones, it's balloons, or it's fence. A wall is a wall, and the American people know that. And by the way, it is cheap to build a wall in comparison to the good we get out of it, and we need it for a lot of reasons. And on top of that, I've drilled into this with the administration, and I've been trying to identify who's the walls are under the Trump administration. I can't find that person.
The wall czar. He wants a wall czar, Steve King does. He's not happy. Conservatives are not happy. Trump supporters are livid. Breitbart.com is practically melting down over this. But listen, one of the spins we're getting from Trump supporters is that the Republicans have pushed him to do this. The Republican Trump supporters, the base Trump supporters, are saying, well, Donald Trump wasn't getting anywhere with Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, so he's having to go to the Democrats. Well, okay, except what's he doing with the Democrats? He is caving on all of his core promises. And Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, if they can make Donald Trump cave on all of his promises, he's their gimp in the basement, ball gagged, dressed in all body leather, doing as they command, and they're having their way with him. I mean, because you presume they're the ones soft on immigration, and so now the president is working with the Democrats to give McConnell and Ryan what they want. Well, then this is not the president you thought he was. This is not the fighter you thought he was. He's not fighting. He's caving with the Democrats. This is not the guy who's going to get you the best deal. He's getting a bad deal with the Democrats. This is not the guy who is the best negotiator. The Democrats are the ones negotiating him into a position. This is not the man you were promised. In fact, this is the guy many of us, myself included, warned you he would be. He is a Democrat. He has long been a Democrat, and you guys are being played. Now, maybe he will change his mind after the outrage. Maybe so. But it doesn't look likely. You see, the president, above all else, is a man who likes to be loved. And as I've mentioned before on the show, he was getting Breitbart.com, DailyCaller.com, and whatnot news pieces put in his face. And he was seeing what they wanted. Well, now he's getting the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Atlanta Journal, and the like. General Kelly's making sure he sees those. And those newspapers are praising him to the hilt for caving to the Democrats. And suddenly, the people, they love him again. They love him. That's what's happening here. Because he's seeing headlines that show he's being loved for caving to the Democrats, he's going to keep caving to the Democrats. And those of you who hate the Republicans, you hate Mitch McConnell, you hate Paul Ryan, that's all well and good. Mitch McConnell needs to be beat. Mitch McConnell is terrible. I happen to like Paul Ryan. I don't care for Mitch McConnell. But they're not the ones causing Donald Trump to cave. My buddy Sean Hannity, God bless him, but he said that they're causing Trump to commit political suicide. No one can convince you to commit suicide when you're the president of the United States. Only you can do that yourself. And it is career suicide. This is worse than George H.W. Bush's read my lips, no new taxes. Because his core promise from the moment he got off the escalator, July of 2015, was he was going to build the wall. And now he's not going to build the wall. He's going to make upgrades. He's going to do what Rick Perry wanted, that he roundly mocked Rick Perry for wanting to do. But this is the Donald Trump. He hasn't changed. This is who he is. This is always who he is. And now more and more people are seeing it. The question is, will his base hold? I mean, in the past, he said he could go out on Fifth Avenue and kill someone, and they would applaud him, and he's been right. But the wall was such a fundamental issue. The wall was the thing that connected to him. And here's the other thing. People hate Republicans, and I get it. I do too. Republicans sell out repeatedly. Republicans, they're nothing to write home about. But all of the data shows that people still hate the Democrats more than the Republicans. People don't want the social justice warrior nut jobs in charge, and the president is now cutting deals with those people. So the question is not, can a Democrat beat President Trump in 2020? The question is, will he get a Pat Buchanan challenge like George H.W. Bush got in 1992 for breaking his no new taxes pledge? Will he get a Steve King running against him in 2020 who may not win but is enough to sabotage him? And then the question becomes, for those of you who said everybody had to back Trump, everybody had to side with the president, everybody had to stand with him, he was the guy who was doing it, but Gorsuch. Will we have gotten Gorsuch but then lose the Supreme Court? Because it's becoming obvious, Justice Kennedy, Justice Ginsburg, Justice Breyer, they're going nowhere. Kennedy's not going to retire while this guy's in the White House. He's going to stay as long as he can. And if he's going to stay as long as he can, then will we have lost the Supreme Court because you supported Trump? That's what it's looking like. That ultimately you will lose the Supreme Court if Donald Trump goes down to defeat in 2020. You will have not saved it. It would have been a Pyrrhic victory. You would have won the battle and lost the war. The president needs to listen to his base at this time. He needs to build a wall. I mean, there are people who don't care for the president, myself included, who want the wall, who believe the wall, who believed him about the wall. If you can't believe this president about building an actual physical wall, what can you believe him on? He's just like the rest of them. And that's not how he campaigned. That's not who he said he was. Something's got to give here. Hopefully he'll hear from his base. Now, my wife has figured out I'm broadcasting on the radio, so I better sneak out of here and go back to doing something else now.
When everything's changing around you, there's a voice that's consistent and honest. Eric Erickson. Every day, 5 till 7, News 95.5 and AM 750. WSB.